Alright, so this is a Mahindra Emax25, the hydrostatic. It was really nice. Backhoe. This is a pretty good overall tractor. A few little things I've had to fix on it. Just a little bit of routing and watching for hoses rubbing on things. One of the big things was, I don't know if we can see this or not from here. The rear, right there, the wheel seal started leaking on this thing. And it started leaking hydraulic fluid all the time, dripping everywhere. So what I figured out is lower the fluid level down, jack the tractor up so it's leaning, pop the seal out and put some sealant around the outside of it, push it back in, make sure everything's all cleaned up, and let it cure, put it down, and refill the oil, the hydrostatic, the transmission hydraulic fluid. All in all, really good machine. I'm in kind of the mountains, so it's steep and rocky, and this machine sits pretty low and wide, so it's not scary to operate. I think some of the newer ones have switched, instead of one single cylinder, to two, like you traditionally would see on a little machine like this, and I don't know why. The only thing it's got a lot of lifting power, everything works great. The only thing I can think is maybe the cycle time is slow compared to some other stuff I've used for dumping and scooping. But I mean, it's usable for sure. And the 22 horsepower, I looked at those, but I figured if I'm going to carry this heavy backhoe, it's worth just getting the larger 25 horsepower engine. Gonna pull this thing in the shop for, let's see here if we can see that, right at 350 hours. So I did the first service at 50 hours, and then this will be the third. I've had this tractor since 2016, so almost 4 years. Then here's the backhoe, a little more. This is a project here I've been doing, just kind of taking out an old pond here. Did it real slow to save all the fish, and then letting the frogs it's supposed to rain later today, let them kind of go and do their thing. Lots of other ponds here you can see in some of my other videos. But this machine is just great for digging and moving rocks and just anything you can think of, and then some. The little backhoe is super powerful to be so small. You can't reach very far, you know. Other than that, we can fire this thing up. Now mine, I can't manually activate the glow plugs, meaning that some of these models or some other tractors like I've had, you can turn the key back or do something to make them come on when you want. These will come on when it's cold. It just always has started when it's super cold outside. However, on a day that's kind of in between hot and cold, and you've let it sit for a minute, do some other, work somewhere else, and you come back to it, you really have to crank on it for all to get it started. You think the glow plugs would make it fire right up, and you can't make them come on, and maybe that's just an issue with mine. This one, I'm gonna do a service of it, and I'll try to show this. This one did have an issue with it, just would not start periodically, and there's a fuse that I read after searching and searching that comes loose, and I'll try to locate that fuse and show that too, because that totally solved that problem. It's super annoying. So let's fire this thing up here. Not the greatest, but not bad either. This machine machine works fine. I'll say this machine works great. Even at idle too, it's still got power. You don't have to have it like revved up. I know something like the BXs, the Kubotas, which are super nice, but you have to keep them revved up. So if you want to just kind of poke around, this thing's great for that. The backhoes, these little transport pins here. They store here neatly. When you're not using it, it'll leak down. So the long one goes there, and then the short one goes over there, and then keeps it still while you're doing other things. It's not too hard to take the backhoe on and off, level ground, kind of pay attention to the way everything's moving. It takes a minute to figure it out, but all in all, not bad. And not a bad tractor. I've loved this thing. Like I said, I've had to do a little bit of tweaking to it to fix a few fluid leaks and routing issues, but other than that, I mean, it's super strong and super stable to be such a little tiny machine, and it doesn't use that much fuel. I mean, I never run out of projects. Here's like a ditch here for irrigation. It's pretty long. It's just so much fun and useful too. So that is the Mahindra Emax25 overview, and I guess you would say long-term ownership. So hopefully she keeps going, and we get a lot more hours out of it.